Go for it.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow.
Sound is on, you're on.
How to turn the sound off here? Just I guess like this.
Oh, wow.
Oh,
wow. Your phone is on silent.
Well, it looks like we're live.
Perfect.
It actually looks like PRsonalities, the show, is live for the first time.
Congratulations.
Thank you, thank you. And today we have a special guest, our friend and colleague, Michael Jagdeo.
Glad to be here.
Michael, maybe just if you could introduce yourself in a couple of sentences.
Sure.
About a little bit about yourself and what you do, so that we can introduce you to our audience. Please.
Awesome. My name is Michael Jagdeo. I am a headhunter by trade. So for the past 10 or 15 years, what I've been specializing in is helping specialized engineers, specialized talent, whether they be in sales or engineering, approach executives, directors, VPs, etc.
Okay.
Capture their attention and win an interview. And from that interview, either get a consulting gig or get a job. That's what I've been doing over 10, 15 years.
Well, that sounds very interesting, because I think what we have here is an audience full of people who want to learn more about how to stand out as a professional in a very overcrowded world. And I think that that perspective may be quite unique and valuable if you're looking to get some perspective, I guess, from the recruiting side of things. So I guess, as you have mentioned, so you have started, so what kind of led you to that, though? How did you even get into that?
Wow. I was at U of T. About second year in. I was doing a co-op management program, and I got turned down by TFL for the pots and pans selling job.
Oh,
so I didn't even get an offer. I thought I was, well-spoken, and I had something to the feedback I got from my interviews is I had nothing to offer. 22 years old, maybe some customer service experience, nothing.
But have you graduated by then already?
I was still in school.
Still in school.
Still in school. I'm second year university, and I'm getting turned down for $11 an hour jobs. The only offer I got was a $9 an hour job, recruiting actuaries. They're the math geniuses that do insurance and investing and things like that. And so that's the only job I was offered, and I started there. But the beauty about that job was that I learned through frontline experience what hiring managers really looked for, and what made resumes really, really stand out.
Oh,
and I used that experience to actually parlay that $9 an hour job into a job that paid me $50,000 that year.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's quite a jump.
Yeah. So I felt completely disheartened in the beginning of accepting the job, because I thought I would get $15, $20 an hour easy. But that experience was so valuable, even though I was so disappointed to accept the job in the beginning.
I can imagine. Yeah. I mean, you don't expect to graduate or even finish any kind of a program.
This is U of T, and this is supposed to be tier 1, but then you don't realize that you're competing against Laurier and Waterloo and maybe even Shenzhen, in China right now. 17 kilometers away from Hong Kong. So really, really competitive. But
here's what I don't understand. You may have to explain that to me and as well as the audience. So, I guess what my expectation for a recruiter would be that same as maybe like an acting agent, you would have a roster of, I don't know how many people, your nieces, your nephews, your friends and the family, everybody you got, that's your talent pool. And then you go out there and you look for the right gigs for them, or do the employers come to you and they ask you, oh, here is the kind of things I'd like to, or people that I'm looking for, this is the talent I'm looking for. Like, how does that work?
Well, it's funny, because I'll explain the way that probably 98% of recruiters handle their business, and how the 2%, actually the successful 2% works. Right? Now, 98% of recruiters are essentially dialing for dollars, is what we call it. If you work for an agency, a new recruiter might have a quota to make 60 calls and reach 2 hours of talk time a day.
That's if you are employed by an agency.
That's if you're
right?
employed by an agency. And
Okay.
that's most recruiters, right? So imagine the motivation
Yeah.
for this person. It's either to get to their 60 calls or to get to their 2 hours of talk time,
Right.
right? Now, the challenge in the way most recruiters work is that because of the metrics that they're given, their job is to call hiring managers at Fortune 500 companies and literally beg them to work with them.
Right.
Hi,
right.
I'm ABC agency. I'm the best at what I do, with no backup. And I noticed that you're hiring a software developer, an admin, or whatever. And I have someone like that right now. They don't. I have someone like that right now. And if you would only work for me, you would have this resume on your desk. And so they're kind of playing that cat and mouse game in terms of, because they need to find a job to fill.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing in their mind.
Right.
I need a job to fill, and once I get a job to fill, then I can go out and find the person.
So that's essentially
how
you're
most
fishing out jobs and then you're fishing out people.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And you're sometimes lying to the candidate, saying that you have the client, and sometimes lying to the client, saying you have the candidate.
Okay.
And this is how most, I mean, that's business development 101 in recruiting,
I guess, yeah, that does make sense.
right?
That's 98%.
That's
of it.
98%
Okay.
of how it's done. And even I started like that, right?
I guess you have to kind of
have
build
to.
your book of business.
You had to, right? And it's good to get used to the phone and making calls and things like that. The challenge for me is that I'm a nerd. And I don't like wasting time. I don't like getting rejected. I don't like not knowing what they're talking about on the other line. I did not want to do sales that way. And luckily, I had the good fortune to sit beside a guy who gave me the book called Spin Selling. And Spin Selling is a book that was written after a PhD did 15,000 sales calls. The team of people looking at sales calls. And then they wrote a book saying, this is how you sell. Find out the situation, find out all their problems, understand what the costs of leaving the problems unsolved are, and finally, finding out the impact of solving those problems. Putting them in priority and saying, if I had an individual who could solve those for you today, right now, is there any reason you wouldn't have a phone interview with that person? Of course, the answer is no. And then what I do is I tell them, great, what's your email address? I'll send you the resume right now.
Okay.
Because I call them when I have the candidate.
So essentially, this is a reverse model. So
I'm anticipating.
So you
the
are
challenges.
anticipating the challenges, and then you're kind of weeding them out from the start.
Not to say it's better. I guess not to say it's better or worse. It's just I don't want to go through 60 calls.
Right.
I want to have a focused list of 30 to 40 VP or C-level executives, CFO, CMO, whatever, and go to them and have hour-long conversations with them, after which I will tell them and present to them a solution to a disorienting dilemma. And so I still have a pool of talent, but my pool of talent has come from analyzing problems worth solving in the marketplace and building a talent pool around that.
Right. So you essentially are scouting out special people for those special problems, and then you're going out with the employers, or I guess, would you be dealing with agencies?
No, I'm going directly to the hiring manager. I'm not going to HR, by the way.
So you're going directly to the directors, and you're saying, okay, I have this guy who is very talented in this particular field. I believe that for the type of a solution you're looking for, this is the right fit.
Or I might talk to the individual.
So how do you actually scout that talent? Because I'm pretty sure there are guys out there who are sitting there right now waiting, saying, well, how do I get
talented?
How do I get in front?
Yeah,
how do I get in front of a guy like you?
Okay. Well, there's a saying, doctors know lawyers. Doctors know doctors, lawyers know lawyers.
Yeah.
So the best way to get introduced to a great person is to be around great people.
Okay.
Really, that's the foundation. because the best, you got to understand, as a recruiter, you might have, 500 unread emails in your inbox?
Right.
All of interested, highly qualified, good people, right? But who do you decide, who to speak to? How do you prioritize that? So the first thing is word of mouth. Being around great people will expose you to great people.
I guess
everybody that's how startup starts.
Yeah.
Every startup starts with a guy going to a conference, working for a company, something like that. And they met somebody flesh or were referred. So at this stage in my game, I've been working, 10 or 15 years. And so if I'm looking for somebody, I call my best guys. I call my best guys and I find them. If there's someone out there who wants to get noticed, the first thing you have to do is fish where the fish are. So where is your ideal hiring manager congregating? Does he go to LinkedIn? Is he going on to
so you're looking for where their attention is, essentially. So I think this is a very common topic for a lot of things. I mean, in today's world where everything is very digital, right?
Yes.
So I'm going to guess that your process from 15 years ago, where you probably were using completely different way of scouting talent, reaching out to your directors or those companies seeking certain talent. Yeah. I'm going to guess that it has changed drastically. So in 2017. So how do we do this in 2017? So 2017 is our digital age.
So the scenario is I am an expert. I am a unicorn. There's nobody like
a unicorn.
Me.
What?
So a unicorn is like there might be 1 million horses.
Okay.
There's only a handful of unicorns.
Okay.
I guess you're not a brony. If you're a brony, you would know. So that's what the industry calls them. It's essentially there are in a world where you need both business savvy and technology savvy. There are now people who have both. And those are the people in highest demand. So, for example, yourself, I mean, you have a computer science background.
Okay.
College, university, and even jiu-jitsu. Those things really, really come to bear.
I guess it's all a combination.
It's from the way you approach problems to the way that you organize things, everything. But if you want to get noticed, the first thing is, what are the fishing holes? And how do I populate those fishing holes with my bait?
So social media must be a pretty big fishing hole for that, isn't it?
It can be.
Okay.
But the challenge is social media is a channel.
Right.
And in marketing today, the hot buzzword, and rightfully so, is omni-channel marketing.
Omni-channel marketing, ladies and gentlemen, I don't know what that means.
Okay. Omni-channel means that, omni means a bunch, essentially. That's my scientific definition.
Okay.
Omni-channel means you don't know, your consumer buys because of a collection of experiences over time. And those experiences happen over different types of touch points through different channels. So omni-channel means an omni-channel marketing strategy for a big company. Let's say I want to do TV ads. I want to do pop-up stores.
Okay, so essentially you're doing multiple different things at the same time to ultimately get the same final result.
Yes.
So for marketing, if you are a unicorn,
yes.
Right? So let's go with that term.
Yes.
If I'm the unicorn,
yes.
Looking to get out there and get in front of a number of directors who will probably be my best employers, I want to be omni-channel marketing to them.
Yes, you want to use different marketing strategies. And I'm going to go just a level of deeper just because you're on the computer science side. You appreciate it.
Well, they have to appreciate it too. Those guys may not be computer science graduates. So
I think, you know what? I think they'll like it. When communicating information, you can write someone, you can talk to them, you can show them a picture, or you can use like an object lesson. You touch them, move things around.
Okay.
Those are the 4 ways to communicate or teach: kinesthetic, auditory, read, write, and visual. So how might you, as a unicorn, identify who your buyers are, who your target market is.
I guess that's number one question.
That's number one.
Okay, take
Always
notes.
number one.
That is
right?
an important one.
You brought it up.
Find your market.
I find the number one mistake that people do when setting up marketing efforts is they think of social media and they treat it as omni-channel marketing. That's one channel.
Means to an end.
That's one channel.
Yeah.
That's one channel. And if we know that people buy because of mixed channel experiences, we know that won't be enough.
Okay.
We know that won't
All right.
be enough.
That's interesting.
And so there's let's bring this back practically. So that's like the molecular neurotransmitter, dopamine, norepinephrine level. Let's bring it up. So today, you might use email.
Okay.
Right? You might use face-to-face.
I guess just sending out an email? Mass email to...
It could be a mass email.
Or individual email?
I choose targeted emails.
Target emails.
Right?
So that's number two, is figure out your market. Use different ways of communicating, perhaps both social media and direct email marketing to those people.
Well, these are the challenges, the channels. I'll go into strategy at the next level, but at a very high level, you want your marketing message to live. If you're a unicorn trying to get the attention of a hiring manager, whether they want you on contract or permanent, find out the channels where your target market lives and where they breathe and where they eat. It might be LinkedIn.
Okay.
But easiest thing, LinkedIn. LinkedIn is the easiest thing.
That's a great tool.
Right? LinkedIn. So, what do people do on LinkedIn?
What
might the hiring manager be doing on LinkedIn?
I guess looking at qualifications and people that are qualified for the job.
Yes.
Right?
So hiring managers are looking at profiles. What else are they doing? I'm looking at phishing holes on LinkedIn specifically. Maybe they're looking at posts.
Okay.
Maybe they're part of groups.
So again, I guess you should not be posting pictures of yourself enjoying a glass of beer on your LinkedIn account.
They're paying attention to comments.
Comments.
Yeah.
All right. Okay.
The amount of people that like and comment and reply in my network to comments that I make on other people that we might not even have in common. It happens all the time. Okay. I've made posts on LinkedIn. For example, there was one how I went from $9 an hour to $50K a year without a degree. I got a client from that.
Oh.
I got 3 unicorns from that one communication. The interesting thing about social media, and this is something I picked up from one of the marketing experts globally, which is Ramit Sethi.
What is the name again?
Ramit Sethi.
Ramit Sethi.
S-E-T-H-I.
That's the guy.
So he brought up the fact that when you are marketing, you are simply looking for a desired behavior, which is a meeting, a phone call. Reply back. True. Send me a white paper. Send me a case study. And so, if that's what your goal is, how many people do you need on your list? 400,000 or 1? It might be 1 if you have the right message.
The right message. That's right.
So, if you're a unicorn, it stands to reason that there's only a few people who really understand the value you can provide.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Right?
Well, I mean, if it's a very specific skill.
It's a very specific skill.
Yeah.
Right? A very specific value. If you didn't have a specific skill, we probably wouldn't be talking about it.
That's right.
we tell you who to talk to.
Yeah, absolutely. Exactly.
Course, right?
Exactly.
But it's, again, omni-channel. So if you are looking to create a desired behavior, which is, I want to get into this person's office, how might I do that? Where do they fish most of the time? Well, if we say social media, number 1 is LinkedIn, then all we would do is say, okay, how might we create content, this content marketing, which is probably the biggest buzzword with omni-channel marketing today,
right.
Content marketing. All content marketing is how might I publish or create a publishing strategy that causes the right people to send me a message.
So essentially, I guess it comes down to number 1, figure out your market.
Yes, so target market.
So first of all, become a unicorn. Figure out your skill. So develop your skill.
I'm just gonna start you right there. For a target market, I'm just gonna go 1 level deeper. So when you're looking at your target market, you might be like, okay, so what do you mean target market? Like, so there's a few ways. The first thing you would start off is demographics. So age, sex, location, bare bones, right? Then what you might ask yourself is, what is their current situation today, right now? I'm going to put myself into the hiring manager's shoes. What is this person doing?
Essentially, what are they doing? What do they do on a daily basis?
On a daily basis.
That's kind
daily
of
basis.
Okay.
Give me a snapshot of what's happening right now, because what's happening right now is going to produce the platform for problems, right? Their daily experience are where problems worth solving live and opportunities worth exploring live.
So from demographic onto
situation. Now that I have the stick figure, I put them into the map. Now they're sitting here, and this is what it's like for them in their life.
So I guess, well, let's just take it one step back. So I think the very important part that we're missing is, how do you even know that you are a unicorn?
They say stupid is as stupid does. Look at around you, right?
I guess if you stand out in your respective market, I guess.
It's one of those things where you bring up an interesting point. How do you know if you're a unicorn? I find that there is a private, invisible, small society of unicorns in every industry. And they all know each other, and they all make fun of people together, and they all snicker to each other. Everything. Everything. So that's one way.
Okay.
Right? The other way, really, to be a unicorn is to understand your target market.
Well, that's that I think puts you in a map by definition.
Huge.
Because if you know what you're
huge.
What to look for, you're already ahead.
But that's what I want to get to. So once you're in your situation, then what you do is look at their problems. What are all the problems or burning pains that this person has in their life? Okay.
As a
hiring manager, whatever your target market is.
Yeah.
So once you understand your demographic, then their situation, what is their daily life like? What are their problems and burning pains? That's when you start getting into the meat. Let's say you know their problems. What we need to do now, and this is what most people don't do. Most people are amateurs when it comes to sales, and they stop at problems. The next step is, what is the implication of that problem going unsolved?
Right. So what are they losing?
What is the cost?
What's the cost?
The interesting thing about cost is that we sell on cost. We buy on cost.
Fair.
We act on pain more than we act on pleasure. So introducing scarcity and unpredictability, introducing loss and avoidance, introducing scarcity and impatience, and these things drive sales.
Right.
Because it's pain that causes people to act. Same thing in investing. They need to see that you're going to take away something that causes them, that without which they're going to experience pain before they act. So let's say you know the problems, you know the implication of that one problem going unsolved, and finally, you go to the impact of solving. That is your benefit.
So that essentially, I think, is the 5 steps.
So
ladies and gentlemen, I think we have the footprint. So once again, I think what we have here is number 1.
Demographics.
Demographics. Number 2.
What is their situation day to day?
Figure out where do they spend their time, where do they spend their attention. Number 3.
What are the problems or burning pains and obstacles in their life right now?
Write that down. Number 4.
For each problem or burning pain, what is the implication of that problem going unsolved? What is the cost of not addressing this problem?
And 5.
What is the benefit or impact if you were to have a solution to that problem?
And so I guess...
And then you prioritize each one.
So this is, I guess, goes on to the next... actually, I had a quick note here. I think we have a question in the audience.
Oh, really? Great.
Yeah, just the producer here. All those questions that you have in front of you, those are all from the audience.
Oh, okay. So I have been notified that perhaps, I guess, we already have these questions in here. So the first question has already been answered. The question was, how do you know if you are a unicorn? So number 2, how do you know if people on social media are real or exaggerated? So how do you know if the person posting that they just made 100 sales in the last week, how do they know that's for real? Or are they just making it up?
Liars. How do you deal with liars?
How do you deal with liars?
Every great recruiter knows how to
tell
if someone's lying. And you have to learn it very early, or you
don't go very far.
You just toast. How do you tell if someone's lying? Well, do you know the truth? That's the first step.
More so on social media.
Yeah, I guess just over-exaggeration social media, right? People post all these.
Sure.
Again, there's a lot of people who are, they're faking until they make it. And so, how do you identify that faker versus the maker?
Well, a lot of times you will not be able to tell online because everybody has access to the same visual design tools.
That's right.
So I can spin up a website at the quality of a digital media agency in half an hour. And anyone can do that. Squarespace, Wix, Kix, there's a million ways to spin up a website in 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Right? But how do you tell the real from the fake? I'll tell you the way I did it as a recruiter. I interview people without a resume.
Just like that.
I just talk to them.
Just talk to them.
And they fall apart.
I can imagine.
You ask somebody, if you probe more than twice, most people just crumble. Right? Because most people have read the introductory paragraph on Wikipedia, or heard their opinion, right? So if you just probe, be like, what does that mean? And then when they start talking, like my buddy Quincy Martin, he's a comic, he goes, talking like their mouth is full of water.
Right.
It's Jamaican phrase, right? That's how you tell.
That's it.
That's how you tell. It's hard to tell online.
So I think if there is one thing to take away from today's show is that you should not be talking with the mouth full of water.
You can tell immediately.
All right, well, okay, let's go into the next one. The audience is asking, how do you mentor yourself for the job you want?
How do you mentor yourself?
Market yourself.
Market yourself.
Is that market? Sorry, guys.
Market.
It's how do you market yourself for the job you want?
Are you an experienced professional or a newbie? Or should I do both?
I don't think we have enough.
Do both?
Yeah, I guess just roughly both.
Okay. So, if you want to...
So if
you want to market yourself as a professional.
Okay.
Essentially what you're trying to do when you say market, in my opinion, is you want that person to respond to your message. Whether it be ask you for an interview, I want to see a white paper, I want to see a case study, send me more information, give me a phone call.
That's right.
You want
a conversation.
You want to convert this passive person into an active prospect in your business, right?
Yeah.
Now, if you're inexperienced, you might think that there's no way I can get somebody's attention.
Right.
Right? But we know that there's a saying in sales, touch the heart before you touch the hand. And so in this world of figuring out different tactics and strategies, the number one technique that inexperienced people don't use is their heart and their passion.
I guess.
How many people are really saying, you know what? You know the reason I came to this industry? It's not because I want to, sell mortgages or like recruit people. You know what I'm a recruiter? Is because when my parents came here in 1976, after their country got ransacked by a dictator, they were treated like garbage, even though they were the most qualified teachers in the world. And they had to take the bottom of the barrel job. And I never want that to happen to somebody. And like I was talking to you before, there are guys from Dubai and guys from India and China and everywhere. And maybe they have a slight accent, but they're geniuses.
That's right.
Super unicorns. And he might have even worked for Google back in Bangalore or something like that. Right? So that passion is what really helps people new entrants set themselves apart. And I guess because the experienced person probably feels that they're too good for passion.
Right.
And they're thinking with their head more than they should think about what really creates this connection. What passes the marketing talk, just noticeable difference. What breaks that threshold.
I think
it could be passion for a person who is receiving phone calls every day from people that are bored with maybe something as revolutionary as cancer research. I got an interview for a 17-year-old robotics student with a guy who was working for a NASA subcontractor in Washington, and the guy won a Google Lunar X Prize.
Wow.
From Google for a moon rover. Now, how did he do that? It's because he had passion. We created a 2-minute video showing the passion he put behind. Now, how many other applicants use a video? I don't know. I actually don't care. We got him the interview. Passion.
I love that.
But that's from the low side. From the high side, it's now what are the problems worth solving?
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
Because you're speaking to a peer.
I love that. That's great.
Yeah.
That
we
is
can
a
go
great
forever,
answer.
but there are
passion, guys. It's all about passion. If you got passion, you got the job. I think that's in a nutshell we can take away from today. I have one more question, and so the question from the audience is: how do you cross over? And I'm not very sure as to what is written.
I'll reread it for you.
Yes, please.
How would you cross over these tips for marketing being self-employed?
Sure.
How do you cross over these tips for marketing?
Yeah.
Being self-employed.
These tips, these marketing yourself tips for someone who is self-employed.
Okay,
Sure.
so essentially, yeah. So I guess a professional who is starting out their own practice, and so how do we cross over these for that?
Sure. So,
do you deal with that at all? I mean,
absolutely.
So that's also one of the things that you.
Well, it's funny because I spent the first 10 to 12 years working with individual talent, helping them got jobs, contracts.
Okay.
Now, after 10 or 15 years, these are individuals that have enough expertise to convert into a company or a consulting practice.
So does that actually happen?
So, well, this is what my practice has evolved into.
Oh, wow.
And so, essentially, the industry term for what you're talking about is a solopreneur, an entrepreneur who's on their own, right?
Okay.
They might be an individual contributor.
Yeah.
Is the phraseology we might use, right? So if you're an individual contributor, particularly this happens with technical experts, a designer, or somebody who does a specialized task, things like that. So you're a solopreneur. You've been in the industry for a while. Now, how do you market yourself? Well, the first thing you do is, like we said, who is your target market?
So it goes
back
to the
situation,
1, 2, 3, 4,
problem,
5.
impact, needs. So that is the first step. So let's say you understand their burning pains in order.
Mm-hmm.
That's one step. Now, the biggest things with solopreneurs is that typically what I find is that they are technical geniuses, not salespeople.
Yeah, you can be really good at what you do, but you may not be very good at closing deals.
And that's a very uncomfortable place to be.
I bet.
As a solopreneur. To be like, I have a hard drive full of genius solutions and nowhere to deploy them. And so what we're looking for are, again, a solopreneur, just like anyone else, is trying to produce a desired behavior.
Right.
So how might we produce a desired behavior, like a response? Well, a few different strategies. We know that you're going to have an email strategy, omni-marketing. Right?
Omni-marketing.
Right?
Back to omni-marketing.
You have your phone strategy.
Okay.
And then you might have a face-to-face strategy. Maybe you're going to industry events, things like that. If you're a solopreneur, the biggest thing I can do right now is I'm going to give you your phone script.
Right.
I'm going to give you the phone script that I use to call chief practice managers of, top 4 law firms in Canada. Tesla, NASA, this is the exact phone script that I use.
Okay. I am actually kind of excited to hear this.
For a solopreneur, if I was going to approach a company for an individual, for a solopreneur, trying to win them business, win them a contract, win them their first client.
I'm just going to stop you right there. This is actually very accurate because before this episode of the show, I was looking to a number of people who are in business, and they were wondering if that was going to be one of the things we discussed today. So for Business for Sale, ladies and gentlemen, this is the cherry on top.
Okay. So I'll tell you the script I use.
Yeah.
Then we can kind of break it apart. Hi, my name is Michael. We haven't spoken before. I'll take some of the mystery out of my call. That's the first step. Okay. I say mystery because unpredictability and curiosity is one of the conversions for attention.
Okay, so we're spiking their attention.
Right?
I like
if
mystery.
you don't have their attention, you might as well not be making any sound.
Fair enough. I like that. Yeah.
In the first 10 to 15 seconds of the call, they don't hear anything you're saying.
It's just a sales call for them.
Well, they're probably busy.
Yeah,
they're probably doing this, and then they answer the phone.
Yeah, yeah. It's the last person they want to talk to right now is somebody else.
Hi, Konstantin. This is Michael calling. Konstantin, we actually have not spoken before. Let me take some of the mystery out of my call. I've used your name twice.
Okay.
Take some of the mystery out of my call now. I've been retained by blank. Right now, I've been retained by a data scientist in the legal industry to transform the way your executives fundamentally make decisions.
I love it already. You have my attention. Keep going.
Right? Transform verbs. I learned that from marketing whiz, Jack Socoloco. He's one of my students. He went from $7 to 10 grand. He told me use verbs.
Right.
He sold T-shirts online, $7 to 10 grand. He sold use verbs.
Damn.
I've been retained by a data scientist whose intention is to transform the way your executive suite makes decisions. Just curious, do you currently have a data scientist whose sole responsibility is to help you convert your practice from labor delivery to product delivery, to having digital products? The answer is yes. Really? Wow, you're ahead of the curve. They're not. None of them are doing it.
No?
I've done the research. Okay. Remember, I've done maybe a week of research
before you made that call.
Ever thinking about making the call, because I'm so scared of making sales calls.
Yeah, okay.
Like, I don't know if I seem calm. I am scared of making a sales call every morning. And that's why I do so much research.
So you prep yourself for that call.
Oh, yeah. There shouldn't be anything this person says that I'm not prepared for. And if there is, good on that person.
All right.
So, and that is my script. Hi, this is Michael calling. We haven't spoken before. I'll take some mystery out of my call. I've been retained by a data scientist from industry who would like to fundamentally transform the way your executive suite makes business decisions. Do you have somebody doing this right now?
That was like 3 sentences right there.
You don't have that much time.
That's quite amazing.
You don't have that much time.
I thought this was going to be a pretty long spiel.
No. You have to have permission to ask questions.
I guess this spiel has to be very, very concise.
This is the 30th sales call they've received today.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
And so you have to pass the just noticeable difference. You have to get attention. Unpredictability and curiosity. Let me take some of the mystery out of my call. That's a core drive in gamification. So these are validated techniques. That's Yu-Kai Chu.
Love it. That's great.
That's not my idea. This is me doing years and years of research because I was so afraid to get rejected over the phone. Yeah. A lot of this research has come from just complete insecurity and neuroticism.
That's actually, you know what? I'm in sales myself, right? So for me, to hear that is another validation that we are doing the right thing. So I am always about making the script as short as possible, so that you can get the attention, deliver the message, and get the response. And I think ultimately that's what we're all trying to do. So I mean, you don't want to be spending an hour trying to convince somebody about something they don't even want to hear about. So I think being concise in 2017 as well as ever before is probably even more important now than it ever has been because of so much distraction.
Think about websites. You sign up for a website right now, they don't even make you move your cursor. You just go click, log into Facebook, click, accept, click, and you've given them everything. Yeah. And you've just went like this. Even in emails right now, people are including buttons. Interested, not interested, unsubscribe.
Yeah.
So they don't even have to reply now.
I guess it is the digital age. It's 2017, and you have to be...
don't want to do anything. You're so lazy. What is the desired behavior?
Don't make them think.
What is the desired behavior? If this is desired behavior, focus on that. You can get very lost looking at everything else except desired behavior. Yeah.
Interesting. Do we have one more question in there?
One more question.
What is
I
it?
just wanted to thank Andre Nutbean for the last question. How would you cross over these tips for
Love
being
Andre.
self-employed? And then our next question is from Alexi O. He's asking, so it's a comment and a question. People who gain success rarely share information. Where do you find opportunities, like jobs and apprenticeships, since things like these are mostly available for people in college or university?
This is in the comments right now, right?
This is in the comments right
Guys,
now.
I'm not going to repeat that question. The question is currently in the comments section of this video.
So again, it's how does someone who is not fresh out of university,
someone not fresh out of university,
like an apprenticeship or a mentorship, how would they maybe get their foot in the door? Because I understand what he's trying to say. It's almost like, you know, if you're an established businessman and a student comes to you, you're willing to help a student because you know that, hey, they're still in school. They're not going to come bug me for a job for another 10 months. But let's say you're been out of school for a while, you're trying to get back into the industry that you studied. These people may be a little more apprehensive because you're not, you know, a fresh-faced youngster, so to speak. So how would that person open the door for themselves? It's not at school, they're out of school.
Sure. So I'm gonna make sure I have the target market right. So we have I don't know what a 23-year-old 4-year degree.
Let's assume that let's call it a 4-year degree, and let's say that maybe they spent some time doing something else. Like they went to school for computer science, they ended up working in a different field of technology, but now they want to go back to computer science. And they don't have that door opener like student.
Sure.
Yeah.
If I'm working with someone who might be inexperienced, but have some experience. I'm working with somebody who has experience. And they're looking to either, get an apprenticeship?
Yeah, to try and open the door.
Try to open the door. I would pitch this person. So this is now an advanced technique for you guys. This is something I have not mentioned. To get the desired behavior, let's say you have this person on the phone, right? Essentially, the word is pitch. We are learning how to pitch this person.
Okay.
Pitch this person an idea. In my game, I might be pitching them a candidate, right? I'm not sure what they're pitching, but they're essentially pitching themselves.
Yeah.
Right? To really get someone's attention in 2017, it's not a resume. It won't even be passion at this level. Okay? It might not even be experience because they're a dime a dozen. 4-year degree, right? Apprenticeship, dime a dozen. If I just graduated and had a bit of experience and I wanted to get a job with Tesla or just one of the top firms out there, what I would do is prototype a meaningful, validated solution that they could use right now to make money or save money. Now the question might be, how the hell do you come up with a prototype?
Right.
4 words. Google, venture, design, sprint. Within Google, this is before they turned to Apple. In the beginning of Google, they had this small business unit, and it was called Google Ventures. And everybody from Airbnb in their early days to robots delivering food in hotels went to Google Ventures and said, how do we build products? And 10 years later, they wrote a book called Sprint.
Is that right?
And they said, this is the most validated algorithm for product or service design ever created.
That was a Sprint framework.
That's the Sprint framework by Jake Knapp. Now, the reason I say this is because I've worked with someone who's worked at Google.
Is that right?
10 years ago. And then helped companies build prototypes without any code You can use something called balsamic or envision. I can put some comments maybe in the comment section with some of these things, but there are tools today that can take your idea for a product or service and make it a reality very quickly with zero code. And if I'm an expert, if you're really an expert, you should be pitching prototypes.
Is that right?
Yeah, because companies aren't looking for, because if I hire you, then I have to wait for your solution.
Right. But if you already have a solution up front, I guess at that point you're hiring a sure thing.
And don't take my word for this. Mark Andreessen.
Mark, that's the guy from MIT.
He's the guy from Andreessen Horowitz, A16Z. Maybe the number one investor in the world. He was on the bottom of Groupon, Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook, something like that.
Okay.
Something stupid he was a venture capitalist for. And he said 10 years ago software is eating the world.
Is that right?
I mean, are they wrong?
I think they are wrong. Oh, sorry, I think they're right.
They're right, exactly, right?
Hey guys, we got some technical difficulties.
That's okay.
Let's take a quick break.
Okay.
We will...
That's pretty much it. I mean, I want to just get that up.
What is the technical difficulties here?
Technical difficulties right now. I think the camera's out.
Camera's out?
Yeah, out of batteries.
No worries. That's good.
All right, we got some technical difficulties. Guys, we will be back momentarily, I promise. Just let everybody know you guys are on mic. Say we will be back.
Oh, we will be back
in 10
minutes.
We will be back in 10 minutes.
No, less than 10 minutes. 5
Less
minutes.
than 10 minutes. So
stay tuned to the rest of the story. I forgot I was
telling.
telling.
For the rest of the story.
What was I?
It
was, yeah, so literally, they've gone as far as to host Google Venture Design Sprint sessions online with like tens of thousands of people following along.
Wow.
It's stupid. So imagine this guy created 150 screen decks, prototypes for Wells Fargo and Reuters.
With this?
With this, using Balsamic and Envision, no code. And then then they can test it. And then when they validate it, 40% of people are yelling, screaming, they have to have it. Then and only then do you go to the VP for sponsoring for money for development costs.
Well, yeah, now it's a sure thing once again, right? So you're...
Because the number one reason this company fails, they run out of cash. And they run out of cash because they spend so much money.
Especially in like when you're doing any kind of R&D, running out of cash is...
No.
I'm sure it doesn't take very long.
The number one thing you do is waste money on engineers, on problems not worth solving.
We're back live. Apologize for technical.
We are back online. It seems that our camera is back and up and running. So, sorry for the technical difficulties. And so back to Sprint.
Sure. So again, this is the last question we have here. So the question was...
Two more.
We have two more questions? This is great.
All
okay.
Right.
No worries. Yeah. So if I have a degree or a diploma and maybe have a couple years in the industry, and I am now looking to approach a Fortune 500.
Okay.
In this day and age, I believe you need a prototype.
And
now, how do you get a prototype? How do you get a proof of concept? How do you actually get an online digital solution whipped up without spending years upon years? The Google Venture Design Sprint, coupled with mock-up tools like Balsamic or Envision.
This is very good for IT, obviously, I'm going to guess.
Great for IT, but because software is eating the world, it's great for everything now.
I see what you're saying. I'm pretty sure you can prototype anything as long as you have the right tools.
As long as you have the right tools, right? Now, for a Fortune 500 company, they're going to need maybe a design sprint master.
Right.
Right? Someone who's done this before.
Yeah.
But this was happening maybe 8 years ago. Mm-hmm. The best of everybody's talking about design thinking, right? All design thinking is you run through this Google Venture Design Sprint, which is, imagine it, the scientific method for product and service design, based on countless hours of prototyping. Mm-hmm. Based on Google. I mean, who rolls out more products than Google? Right?
Apple? No, I'm just
10 years ago, right?
Maybe 10 years ago, yeah.
So it's so huge for them to follow validated methods and not waste money prototyping and then bring that prototype to the market.
Ultimately, I think any company's main concern is not to waste more money than they absolutely have to.
I'll give you an example for the viewers to look up vrlisting.com. So
vrlisting.com.
vrlisting.com, not my company. I know the executives.
Okay.
And this is the exact method that the executives used. right? They didn't use the design sprint method, but specifically this prototyping. Go to a buyer. Yes, no? No, because of this. Back home.
Right on.
This back and forth is what nobody does, because just like in sales, nobody wants rejection.
Nobody wants to...
Not even nerds.
Yeah.
Not even engineers want rejection. Two technical problems.
Understood.
That's what I would do if I was in your person.
That sound like a pretty good answer to that question. So I hope everybody was taking notes.
Two more?
We got two more questions, and then let's try.
Beautiful.
So the next one we have is from Afros Khan. I think this is, he says it's generic. Best tips for an audition or interview?
Best tips for an audition or interview, ladies and gentlemen?
Remove neediness. The number one problem with people is they need too much during an interview, and the manager can feel it. If you're begging, they know it, and you might even not use words to beg. It might be your body language.
That is a
remove neediness. You can't need it. If you need it, you're done.
Yeah, I guess you kind of want to make them feel that they need you about as much as I guess you need them, right? So you don't know more or less.
Oren Cloth. He won't pitch anything. He won a gold medal. We move towards that which moves away from us. And that's not opinion. That's that's just his as a venture capitalist selling deals. We move towards that which moves away from us.
So I guess do not act too needy. That is the conclusion to that question.
All right, and we got one
last question.
How do I rock? This one's from Jonathan Donahue, John Doe on Facebook. How do I rock a final interview once I've already sold myself?
So once again, guys, the question is from Jonathan Donahue. How do I rock my interview? My final interview once I have sold myself. I guess in the preceding interviews.
Sure.
Good question.
First step: remove neediness.
Remove neediness.
Right.
Okay.
How would you do that? Well, you're at the final stage.
I mean,
right?
Yeah, they got pretty far.
So you've gotten pretty far.
Yeah.
I would write down write down a list of every reason that they need you.
Okay.
Make it very clear.
Okay.
Know that, because if you don't know why they need you, even if you get the job, you won't get what you want to get paid.
Okay.
Right?
Right on.
Your ability to command money is created at the first time they meet you. Right? So if you want to... What do you think he means by rock the interview? Get the job? Because I only look at desired behaviors.
I mean, I think...
Get paid the most?
That's
what he's looking to do. If you want to rock the interview, you're trying to get paid the most.
You're trying to, I guess, sell yourself, right?
So you want to rock the interview, which is equal to get paid. The number one way at this stage is, so it's a Q, qualify. You want to plus move away. I'll tell you a quick story. I remember 3 years ago, I quit where I was working, the agency, because I want to focus on my health. I was 200. I'm maybe $150 right now. I was 220 pounds 3 years ago.
Holy.
Yeah, and so I quit because I had insulin resistance. My dad died at 56. It was just the writing was on the wall. I had fat on my liver, everything.
Jesus.
And so what's funny is that the guy who taught me spin selling, the guy who gave me that book, where I learned that methodology, that is a cornerstone to everything I do, he actually moved to a different company. And it said they were hiring. So I eventually had an interview with the SVP. Now, I was only going on the interview because it was my friend.
Right.
Right? I had already made up in my mind that either you force yourself on sabbatical or you're going to die. So I went into the interview with how much need? None. I didn't want the job. And I was offered 6 figures easy.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It didn't start at 6 figures. Every time I said no, they offered more money.
Wow.
And I was like, what is even happening?
What is going on? Yeah, that's interesting. That is.
This is 2 years ago, I think. A year and a half, 2 years ago. We move towards that which moves away from us.
Right.
Remove neediness. I never thought it would work because it sounds counterintuitive. Why would I want to move farther away from someone that I want money from?
Right.
But if you realize that we only part with our money, typically because of pain, or an epic meaning and calling or something like that, a white hat, Maybe you have to use that. You cannot be a customer service agent anymore. You're
that
a salesperson.
That is a hell of a story.
Yeah, move away.
Try
it. Go on an interview
Guys,
that you don't even want. Move away.
Scrape up everything we just written down. Write down remove neediness. That's, I think, is number one.
Remove neediness. The last thing. Qualify them. You want to hear them talk like their mouth is full of water? Ask them a question to see if they're good enough to have you as an employee.
I like that. I like that a lot.
How many times do people do that? How many? So tell me, Tesla, what is my career path? Do you think anybody's really asking them? Now, that might not be a good question to ask. You have to choose your question. We assume that the unicorn's going to choose the right question.
Yeah.
But how might you qualify the person who has spent the entire time qualifying you? They'll start talking like their mouth is full of water, and your status is immediately going to be raised because they have never had to explain to anyone why they should work here.
Exactly. That's actually, that's a great little addition. So remove neediness and qualify. Guys, I think we're going to wrap up on that note. Michael, thank you so much for coming by. It's a pleasure having you. So that was our very first episode of PRsonalities. It's been really a great honor to have Michael on board here to tell us more about recruiting and standing out in 2017. I thank you guys very much for following and watching this stream. You can follow us. You can follow Michael. I believe his tag is right below us. I believe it's Mike. What is it? Jagdeo.
I have Jagdeo Rises on Instagram, and it's unicornlaunching.com.
unicornlaunching.com, guys, and obviously, follow and share, like our page, like this stream. Try to share the stream if you can. That'd be great. We really appreciate all the attention and you guys watching. And in 2 weeks, we will be meeting once again, and our next guest will be announced very shortly. So do watch out for that. And yeah, thanks a lot.
Amazing.
Thanks, guys. Have a good day. Thank you for watching. That was PRsonalities. And we hope to see you in 2 weeks when we get to shoot yet another episode of this show. Meanwhile, you should probably like, share, and follow all of our social media accounts. That would be Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, where we will be posting a slightly better version of this exact same episode. See you soon. Bye. What are you doing here? Who is producing the show?